I'm going to summarize the most important information I recommend knowing for the back lever. During a back lever, you should aim for a protracted as well as a depressed scapula. For protraction, think about spreading the shoulder blades away from each other. You should also depress or pull the shoulders down and away from your ears. The combination of protraction and depression is going to create a stable base for the back and your shoulder muscles to work optimally. Staying in end range protraction and depression is very difficult, if not impossible, in practice. The mental cue of aiming for protraction and depression is what I want you doing. The difference between someone who's mentally doing their best to protract and depress is night and day compared to someone who's just relaxed through their upper back. You're looking at a hollow body shape when someone's doing that protraction and depression cue compared to someone who's got a banana back lever where they're not focusing on that at all. Key thing to bring it back in again, you don't have to be excessively hollow through there, but you've got to do your best and fight the most like you want to get into that position. The lat muscle is one of the major core stabilizers on the back, and we want it to help in the back lever as much as possible. Squeezing the arms in towards the side is going to recruit the lats in their adduction role. Cueing arms towards side is going to be helpful for lat recruitment. I can guarantee you if you do this small cue of drawing the arms towards the side, your back lever is going to feel a ton more comfortable as well as a lot more stable and strong. When it comes to the back lever, there's two main techniques that you can use. Let's start off with by talking about the pronated grip. When you lower down into a back lever with a pronated setup, the palms are going to face up and away from the body. The pronated technique tends to be the safest method for most people that are starting their back lever journey. The method I prefer to use during back levers is a supinated or a chin-up grip. The palms are going to face down in the direction of the body. A supinated technique increases force output by the biceps as well as the pecs, making the back lever feel rock solid. The downside with supination is the strain to the biceps can cause injury if your body isn't prepared. If you're going to use a supinated technique, be patient and progress slowly so that the bicep and associated tissues can adapt and get stronger. Don't worry though if you're willing to follow my advice, isolated bicep conditioning, which is going to minimize the chance of injury to both the elbow and the shoulder region. Always listen to your body if it's sending warning signals. If the supinated grip is causing pain or it just doesn't feel right, scale back a progression or use a pronated technique. After hearing all that, you're probably trying to decide which one you should use. Now, in the perfect world, I recommend everyone use the supinated technique, but there's one catch. You need to be patient with your progress by starting at the start. I'd recommend everyone, regardless of your level of strength, spending some time on the tuck as well as the advanced tuck in order to condition the bicep, in order to condition the bicep tendons and associated tissues at the elbow as well as at the shoulder. This is going to bulletproof your body and minimize the chance of injury. Now, I understand that we're not living in the perfect world. I understand what most people are like. They want results now and they're going to use the hardest progression that they can physically handle. This is why I recommend the average person that is looking to go a little bit quicker with their journey, use a pronated technique. At the end of the day, the back lever can still be done with either grip using both pronation or supination, and that's acceptable to use on either a bar or rings. I'll quickly mention there's a third method, but this really depends on your environment and your circumstance. The back lever can also be done with a neutral grip. Ultimately, we're going to get stronger with the grip and also the setup that we use most. If doing back levers between parallel bars is something that you want to get better at, go ahead and use a neutral grip. Otherwise, when it comes to which grip is best, use the one which suits your body type, history, and also your preference. The back lever is an exercise where it's very tempting to hold the breath. The reason we naturally do this is to increase intra-abdominal pressure and global stability in an attempt to survive the hold time. We're not just holding sets for a couple of seconds. We're training and building time in the back lever to increase our strength. You need to practice taking short but sharp breaths during your sets. Continuing to breathe is the only way to hold a back lever without feeling like you're about to pass out. This sounds basic, but it's going to make a difference with your lever practice. Have correct technique from the moment you begin lowering down into the back lever. It's much easier for the body to maintain protraction, a hollow body shape, and correct alignment when you set it correctly from the top. This means you won't need to make corrections once in the parallel position, then you can just focus on staying tight and breathing for the remainder of the set. The shoulder to hip position should form a straight line for the easier progressions. Visually, this consists of a natural flex curve in the upper back and no excessive arching in the lower back. Just make sure that your back lever technique is solid, and I'm going to be a happy teacher. When it comes to training the static back lever, the most comfortable entry method is lowering from an inverted hang into the back lever. To make things more difficult, you can enter the back lever from a tuck. The hardest way to get into a static back lever is pulling from a deep skin the cat. This is tough because you're in a fully stretched position. The shoulder blades tend to be retracted and elevated. You're going to need to use a ton of strength in order to lift up into the back lever, and also brute force, because getting that hollow body shape under considerable strain is no easy feat. For most people, I'd recommend just going from the inverted hang into the back lever. For those of you that are looking for more of a challenge or just a bit of variation to your static practice, definitely try out the extend method, but we'll reserve the last method for the absolute beasts, the animals out there that are at the end stage of their back lever journey. Try doing it from a skin the cat pull up to your back lever progression. If you can do that, you'll be able to do anything. To make everything extra clear regarding what we just spoke about with correct technique, we're going to go the other way and show you some examples of what not to do. The common mistakes with the back lever relate to body alignment and positioning. A very common situation is feeling like the back lever is straight, but the hips are actually too high. The core tension is actually really good in this one in terms of the ribs down and hollow body, but the thing is the hips aren't level with the shoulders. A similar problem can happen when lowering too deep into the back lever. Once again, the back lever cues are being applied, but the hips are simply too low. The last two mistakes relate to core tension, despite the hips and shoulders being in a good alignment and nice and level. The banana back lever happens when a lack of care is paid to bracing the stomach. What ends up happening here is quite a passive technique where the entire back begins to arch. This is the standard form that you're going to see when someone tries the back lever, especially for the first time without any prior knowledge or experience. The piked back lever is another mistaken technique which is used by someone who just lacks strength. A piked hip position is a strategy which is used because it decreases the length of the lever, which makes the actual position easier to hold. If this is happening to you, I'd recommend training an easier progression to start with.